Welcome into the program, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. I am Scott Beason. Today is a Friday in the heart of God's country. It is the 22nd day of May in the year of our Lord, 2026. I hope you've had a great morning, and I hope the last 21 hours have gone well as well. I'm here, Big Sky Mountain Mosley here, making sure we can broadcast to as many people around the globe as is possible. You can listen to us on a terrestrial signal in the river region of central Alabama. You can listen to us streaming at newstalk931.com. And you can also see us and listen to us over on YouTube. Go over there, search for Scott Beason. I will tell you something interesting, Sky, about that. Someone had told me they had a difficult time finding it. So I was like, hey, it's getting closer to the top. Check. When I went to check, a Scott Beason popped up who had like 5 videos of some house he was working on. It's not me.
There's another Scott Beason?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of us, apparently.
Okay.
And but what I found fascinating is how in the world did YouTube decide to have a guy who had like 5 videos from a couple of years ago or multiple years ago? How does that end up clicking towards the top before I'm convinced it's content? Now, before that, I had spoken with Brian Dawson because he and 1819 News try to be on a number of different platforms. So they do some stuff over at Facebook and do some stuff at YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And I was talking to him about what he thought the best thing to do was. Is it just stick with YouTube? Because a lot of the biggest content creators really stick with YouTube. I think it pays better if you ever get to the point where you can be paid, et cetera. And you don't want, a third of your people over at Facebook and a third of your people at YouTube and 10% over here. You try to focus all the same place so you can get your numbers up. And he said, well, I will tell you this. He said, I don't know that it's on purpose, but we have remarkably more response to things we do over at Facebook than we do at YouTube.
That's curious.
Yeah, and what you have to remember is that, or what we have to remember is that all of these social media platforms, maybe the least might be Twitter, and we haven't decided to go there yet with a stream. They all ban you, shadow ban you. They all limit, they all hold down, and sometimes if you're starting to get some traction like we are, they'll help you.
Well, they have certain logarithms, I understand.
And then certain things, they say, wait a minute, we would like to help you because you're starting to get some good percolation going. Wait a minute. We don't like what you talk about. So you don't get on the help you train. And somebody else does, or maybe we should rein that back a little bit. Yes, you got, this person is watching and that person's watching, this person's watching, and we would usually let the people who, have a similar profile know that you exist, but we don't think we're going to do that because the kinds of things you say. We may not come and shut you down completely like YouTube did a few years ago. Remember I had a podcast with the girls, with Allison Sinclair and Amy Beth Shaver. I don't know how many episodes we actually did, but we had like 2 of our episodes banned. We were like on the edge of being banned completely from YouTube. And many of y'all listened to what we did on the podcast was basically this radio program, well, the old radio program when the girls were with us, and we just said words that were not approved. Now, it was during the COVID time, and you just could not question the narrative, and social media was right there. And if people think they're not checking all that, Sky and I have conversations almost every day about copyright violations.
Absolutely.
These streams, they absolutely are listening. They may not care what you say today. I don't have any idea how they do it. You can also have them turn on what's it called at your house when the words are at the bottom? Subtitles? Is that
Yes, closed captioning.
closed
subtitles.
captioning? Do you know you can do that
Yes. I've heard about
live?
it. Yeah, I've heard it.
The algorithm
I don't know it
will
to be
sit
100%
there.
true, but
Yeah, no, it
definitely
absolutely would
heard
do it. Facebook started doing it to me a number of years ago. The first time I ever tried doing this, we actually did Facebook stuff at the old radio station, and for a short while because it was a pain. I didn't like it. I don't like seeing myself. And all of a sudden, one day, the words I'm saying are going across the bottom of the screen. I'm talking about almost in real time. Now, it takes a minute for what you send up to go through their stuff, and then they start posting it so other people can actually watch the stream. But, yeah, I mean, you're like closed captioned live. Now, albeit, it may be a minute after you actually did it live. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like when you watch a football game and you listen to a football game on the radio, or you watch one on YouTube and you got another station. Like, wait a minute, why is my phone? I've already seen we just scored, and my television is, we're on the 20-yard line. You're like, wait a minute, I thought this was live. It's very similar, but yeah, the closed caption is now. It's back then it wasn't perfectly word for word, but it was almost word for word. I mean, it was strong. That's how fast it could do it. So it's listening to you. I mangle the English language with my strong Southern dialect, so it would get some of those words wrong.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, and so they absolutely know. So if they're screening to see if you say, and sometimes I think I get by, Sky, because I use different words. Like if instead of saying the correct version of LGBTQ whatever it is, and I say LGBTQ whatever 666, or I say the liggity bigots. I don't think they know.
We're becoming more apt at that.
At the workaround, right. It's like on social media when people don't say that someone was killed, they say unalived.
Right, exactly.
Because the algorithm.
As they refer to certain villains in history as
the
someone else.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a closed caption, so there's a transcript.
There is.
Available somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah, gotta be.
Just in case.
Just in case they need to know it. And what it's been explained to me as is that all of our conversations, phones, text messages, what you put on streams, I've been told that all of that is collected. And people believe that, well, no, Scott, they're just looking for the terrorist. They're just looking for Ahmad whatever who's planning a terror attack. And the way it was explained to me, and this could be wrong, and I'd love for y'all to call in. It's a free-for-all Friday. The way it was explained to me is that it's all getting logged away as they're building a profile on every single American. And then if something comes up and they need to dig deeper, then they just tell the computers, hey, go check out the whole profile for Sky or for Scott, and then we'll dig in and see if there's something there. It's all sitting there waiting to be seen.
Thus the need for these massive data centers in every community.
That you
store it somewhere.
That you think are just making new logos for your just made up web company. That's what all that tremendous
that's
amount of
funny video skits
storage
load up to Twitter.
The
right.
So it's fascinating to do that. The other thing I was told was that now people are warning that this level is coming. I think the way technology works when it comes to the government and when it comes to what we're doing is once you receive the warning that this is coming, that has already occurred.
I believe it.
You're getting a warning for something that's already solidified. And the warning was, hey, anything and everything you do is filed away.
Assume that you're being surveilled.
Yep, in case they need it. So anybody out there who maybe sent some text messages to their girlfriend, their wife doesn't know. Maybe they sent some text messages to the guy down at the gym and the husband doesn't know. What I'm told is they know. Now, I don't know who they is, but they know. It's filed away. And if they need it sometime, Like you start bubbling up on
you pop your head up on
social media saying, "Hey, we can't tolerate this government."
Let's check his file.
Might get a little call, might get a little thing that says, "Hey, remember that? Might want to tone it down. Might want to pop down there, young man." You don't think they would ever do that, though? They would never do that. Who the they is would never, right?
I think that's the whole point.
I think it is, too.
Just in case you get a little messy, you get a little out of line. Here's a reminder of...
What is it you say? You get a little froggy?
Yeah, get a little jumpy. Here's a little reminder of...
that we know you. We know where you've been physically and technologically.
Can you imagine?
Oh, my gosh. Hey, look, I'm so messed up. What are they going to tell me? Hey, you probably.
I'm just glad they didn't have all this surveillance equipment back
in the day.
Days. Yeah.
Just don't add on to your list today. That's the advice.
I'm not. I keep my head down. Yeah.
We got to take a break. We'll be back.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back in, everybody. We appreciate you listening to the show. Let's get out to not to our phone calls. I thought we had one on the board, but we lost him.
Thought we did too.
All right, good. We got a special guest coming on at 10 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. Is another a great person who does some work for 1819 News and the Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal. You don't want to miss her. It's Annie Holmquist. Great article she actually has over at 1819 News. Her most recent article. You will definitely enjoy it when Annie comes on at the top of the hour. There's some things I just can't leave alone, Sky. A couple of different stories that are out there. It looks like, who was I was sent this one earlier today. Let's see if I can get back to it real quick because it backs up what I want to tell you about this other story. Senate and House Republicans maneuver to block the Trump's government $1.776 billion weaponization compensation fund. Sundance has this over at the conservative treehouse. Republicans in both the House and Senate are quickly moving to stop the DOJ IRS settlement with President Trump that establishes a $1.776 billion victims compensation fund for those targeted by corrupt government conduct. So understand what they're doing in. President Trump says, hey, look, we need to have a fund. We got to have a settlement for all the people that were targeted by a corrupt government, which I would guess that January 6ers are part of that. Thousands of people who peacefully attended the January 6, 2021 protests were targeted by the FBI and had to hire lawyers. Thousands more received ridiculous subpoenas and investigative inquiries that required them to pay lawyers who provided legal responses. So the Republican senators immediately began to work to block that.
Republican senators, you say?
Yeah, because Republicans run the House and the Senate.
Right. Why would?
Let me remind people of something. Let me just ask a question. I hate to ask this. Really don't. Thomas Massey, who Charlie Kirk thought was a great congressman, who Charlie Kirk gave all sorts of credibility to, who Charlie Kirk thought Thomas Massey was one of the few members of Congress who was trying to do the right thing for the Republic, who Donald Trump decided to say was the worst congressman in the 250-year history of the United States. Now, I understand Donald Trump speaks in hyperbole all the time, to the point that when Donald Trump, I don't know, what's something Donald Trump might do, has to go to the bathroom, it was the biggest, greatest, hugest, most awesome bathroom break any person has ever made. I mean, everything is hyperbole. If you're the best, you're the best. You're the heroest hero of all the heroes who have ever heroed if Donald Trump is talking good about you. Next morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, if he's mad, you're the worst person there's ever been in the history of the country, the world, maybe the worst villain ever, and I know my villains. That kind of thing. So I understand he talks in hyperbole. But somebody like Thomas Massey must be destroyed, right? Because he was not quick enough to agree with Donald Trump on, hey, let's ignore the Epstein list. The Epstein list doesn't matter. The Epstein list is a Democrat hoax. Those sorts of things, right? And not quick enough to join on into the billion-dollar biggest, most beautiful bill ever. It's the greatest thing ever. Hey, look, there's a bunch of trash in there. Yeah, look, I get it. There's a bunch of trash in there because they got to buy off a bunch of the, quote, good people, the solid people, the ones we're for, the ones we're endorsing. Where y'all think, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Thomas Massey would have been against this too, but Republicans are opposing the government that clearly was being corrupt, clearly was purposely targeting people, clearly just for political purposes. Well, Scott, that does not seem like a proper use of government funds. Okay, all right, I'm going to give you that. You ready for this, guy?
I think so.
I try not to set scenarios up without having, like a little gotcha. So, I got, my friends out there, Scott, that is not a good use. That is not a good use. I am for those senators because they are, it happens sometimes, and what are you going to do? You're going to try to help all those little nasty little January 6ers. The move in the Senate is particularly Machiavellian, considering they recently established a $500,000 system of penalties for government conduct after they found out that Jack Smith's investigation had subpoenaed their private plane records. Buried on page 217 of the 2025 Senate Continuing Resolution Bill, Republican senators inserted legislation to retroactively pay themselves $500,000 each for every line of communication, telephone record, email, or other electronic communications subpoenaed by the Jack Smith special counsel during the Arctic Frost investigation. The targeting of Republican senators was too much for the Republican senators to bear. Did y'all get that? And y'all can go and read this. The Conservative Treehouse, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, Sundance, has a lot of good articles, a lot of good information, and has been right many times, Sky. But I don't think you necessarily heard that. Now, remember, they're against January 6 people and others who have been targeted by a corrupt government, and we all know that clearly. But they put in, and I'm wondering if that 2025 Senate Continuing Resolution, was that the big, beautiful bill? This was on page 217. They inserted legislation to retroactively pay themselves. The senators will get $500,000 each for every line of communication, telephone record, email, or other electronic communication subpoenaed by the Jack Smith special counsel during the Arctic Frost investigation.
They were spied upon.
And so they need $500,000. Now, this says for every line.
That could add up pretty quick.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it $500,000 total for each senator that was spied on? Or was it $500,000? You know what I'm saying? Is it looking at for every line as $500,000 for the sum of what they did? Or is it $500,000 per line?
Sounds like an instance.
It reads like an instance,
Man.
But surely
Jackpot.
That's not it.
I wouldn't put anything past these people.
But y'all see that, that you're talking about United States senators saying, hey, wait a minute. You listened to my phone conversation? Well, we must punish you and give me a reward. You harassed Grandma Sally and the pregnant woman down the street, and you caused them to have to spend money they clearly do not have to avoid going to jail or to avoid just the rigmarole that you were going to do to them? And you're not for that? Oh, I'm too conservative to spend that kind of money. What a bunch. Look, I don't know. I'm just reading you what is here before me. But, and then I have to hear, look, I support President Trump. He's way better than the people he ran against, okay? But I want him to show some anger at these people for not passing the SAVE Act, for doing this, and the other things they do. Tim Burch is in the news for being mad at Washington, and he should be. He's one of the few good ones. But I have to hear how terrible Thomas Massey is? And your buddies go out and spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to, I think, steal an election? Which I'm sure they don't care about that one either, do they? We got to take a break. I'm about to lose my mind. We'll be back. Listen to the program, and you can watch it over at YouTube. Go check it out, Scott Beason, then search for the live button. Listen to us there or listen to us on the stream. You can find it at newstalk931.com, but it gets full a lot of the time, and that's one of the reasons why we started getting the stream out for y'all. I was talking about the Thomas Massey race, and I get it. I understand completely that we bring things up on this program that make people ill. Y'all don't be mad. We got to ask these questions. We have to ask these questions. There are days that I turn out to be wrong, and there might be days that some of y'all turn out to be wrong. We don't know, but we ought to be asking the questions. And our side is bad. As much as we talk about the left just believing what is fed to them, we do a good bit of that too. Fox News really did a good job on a lot of us for a number of years. Whatever Fox News was saying must have been the gospel. without ever thinking or considering, well, maybe they're just the lighter version of the manipulation machine. Maybe they just give us, just keep them, hey, keep Scott and them right inside the edge right there. Let them get to the edge, but don't let them get off don't get them get past. Maybe Fox News was the bumper, when the bumpers come up in the bowling alley for the little kids bowling. Maybe Fox News was just the bumper on the side to keep us out of the gutter over here. Maybe.
Interesting metaphor. Okay.
So the Thomas Massey race, I brought it up because I find it fascinating that the president can endorse Lindsey Graham and others and then just hates Thomas Massey. Was Thomas Massey obstinate at times? Absolutely. Well, did he not vote for some spending bills from time to time? Absolutely. Do I know that he was promised multiple times by Republicans, hey, look, just be with us this time. We'll fix it next time. You know what they say to you the next time?
What?
Just vote with us this time. We'll fix it next
we'll get
time.
Them next time.
And then the next time. It's a little bit like battered spouse syndrome. Look, I know we did wrong, but just I love you and just stick with me, and it won't be this way next time. Next time comes, does it again.
Yeah, manipulation.
And I can understand it. I've lived it. I've personally lived the, hey, calm your jets, cool it down a little bit. Come on, we're all friends. We're all buddies. We're on the same team. I believe like you do. Just, look, I promise you, we will address this next session. You promise? Yes. I have your word. Yes. Can we shake? Yes. Shake hands. Great. Love you guys. You're awesome. I'm with you. I'll help you. Next session. Hey, y'all remember?
Not good time.
Not
right
a good.
now.
It's really not a good time now. After the train's already rolling down the track, and that happened to me 2 or 3 times. So I don't know Thomas Massey, but I feel like I can understand some of his frustration, especially when people start saying things like, "Look, you know what? I know it's the principled stand. I know you're right. You're right, but." But this time, let's don't go with right because we've got to help the cause. You know what I'm saying? And you start getting the forest for the trees, and you can't be a purist and all that kind of stuff. But eventually that gets kind of old after you've been there a while and you see that, hey, look, I need more people to say no. I don't need more people to do this. So you go to the Thomas Massey race, and I said offhandedly that I thought there was a good chance that election was stolen. During the break, Sky had mentioned, hey, did you see the turnout numbers in the Thomas Massey race? And they were historic.
Whoa, off the chart.
Off the chart. Now, to the regular person, a regular American sees the amount of money that was spent. It's the most expensive campaign in American history for Congress. Like $15 million poured in. I mean, that's a lot in a congressional race for one side. I think 30-something million was spent in total. $15 million was pro the secular government of Israel kind of groups. The president weighs in. The Secretary of War actually goes there and campaigns against Massey the weekend before the election, which is also unheard of. And everybody sees, the turnout was huge. And we as normal Americans are like, of course it is, Scott. Look at the money they spent. Here's the secret. And I don't know if it's 100% true. And somebody who's involved in politics, because I know you are listening in Montgomery, if you want to call and, use a different name or whatever, usually when a campaigns guy is very, unless it's like the president, but Congress, State House, even U.S. Senate, when it gets really dirty and heated, the turnout goes down.
Yeah, people are tired of the smearing and the ugliness.
The
and
vote
it turns them off.
The vote is suppressed. Right. I hate both these people. They're both terrible.
Right. I've had it.
I'm
going to protest by
not
staying
going
away.
And so I would say historically that is overwhelmingly the trend. I don't want to say it's 100%, but almost always if the top of the ticket or the popular race is a nasty, dirty, a lot of money spent, just ads everywhere, it does not make more people turn out. But in this count, record turnouts. by far. By far. Not a little
Some
bit.
counties doubled easily.
Yeah, 100% improvements in turnout in places. Like 10,000 and something mail-in ballots show up. And by the way, Massey lost by 10,000 and something mail-in ballots. The incumbent lost.
Yes, who has a good record and rapport with the people of his state.
But President Trump was against him. Look, there's been a bunch of people Trump has endorsed that have lost. Not a lot this time, because he's very careful about who's going to win.
He likes to pick the winners.
And then I'm going to endorse.
Right. Kind of wait sometime to see who's going to win. He does.
Kind of really wait. Where's that trend going?
I don't know.
Now, if he can come in and stomp you out after you're already, down to an ember, yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying there are weird things in that congressional race. And if it was Trump running against Hillary and we saw those same kinds of weird things, we would say the election that something happened.
Yeah, we would.
But that's a
good point.
But our side will not say that in this race because we need to be with the president.
Yeah, except when Thomas Massey gets off the rails and he must be destroyed. The rage doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit what happened.
Doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't. So a lot of stuff out there, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to think about. And I personally believe that rational people can say, hey, look, I like the vast majority of what, I like the direction we're trying to go. But I still have some problems. And we got to get some things straight. We'll be back. We'll get to your phone calls as well.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back in. Let's get out to your phone calls. Let's go to Harris. Harris, welcome to the program. I hope you're well. Happy Friday to you.
Hey, good morning. How y'all?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Scott, I was curious from the election on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call it the top three on the ballot. Were you surprised with anything?
Yeah, the only surprise that I saw was, two surprises, actually. I was surprised that Katherine Robertson was as far ahead of Jay Mitchell as she was, and I was surprised that Jared Hudson edged out Steve Marshall for that second spot in the United States Senate race. That was my two surprises. What about you?
Well, what about John Wall?
I was not surprised he was first because I don't think people paid attention to the lieutenant governor's race. We have had lieutenant governors who almost can't complete a whole sentence because their mind had begun to go away, and they won the lieutenant governor's spot in overwhelming numbers. Maybe only Montgomery knew that they had that issue, but so I just don't think people pay attention to the lieutenant governor's race like they do other races, and when the Trump endorsement just goes a long way. They're like, I don't know any of these people. I'm voting for the person Trump endorsed.
All right, if Trump had not endorsed him, where do you think he would have come in?
Probably. Well, the other candidates weren't real strong either, but he wouldn't be in first. He might be third or even lower.
Yeah, well, and that's real interesting to me. Look, I voted for the president 3 times.
Yes.
But what he says as an endorsement does not mean a thing to me. But obviously, it's huge to a lot of Alabamians.
I think it is, but I think there's also this little caveat. Because remember when he endorsed, it was his first term, but he endorsed Luther Strange against Roy Moore, and then Roy Moore won the primary, and then Republicans rallied and helped Doug Jones become the United States Senator. So, I mean, I think Alabamians have an independent streak, even against the president's endorsements. But if all else is kind of even and they're like, hey, these two people seem kind of the same to me, I'm all right with both of them, then they will heavily lean towards the Trump endorsement. Does that make sense?
It does. It's kind of like the Club for Growth. Who cares? That doesn't register with, a 60-year-old male.
No, it doesn't. I
I
agree with you completely. But I do think, like, when people look, number one, they don't really care about the lieutenant governor's office. And then number two, they're like, they're the same. I don't know. I'm not mad at either one of them. I think I like the guy that Trump likes. I think that was the power in that race.
Yeah. When I said the Club for Growth, I guess I shifted gears thinking about the Senate race.
No, you're fine. But it actually makes the same difference. A lot of Washington people, and I've seen people go, "Oh my gosh, it's so awesome." They got the Club for Growth endorsement. I usually say, "Well, how much money is the Club for Growth going to spend?" That's where the rubber meets the road. Because if you spend enough money and buy enough television and radio, you are a legitimate candidate. And like the John Wall case, he had a good bit of money. But I think it all came in the same gift box that the Trump endorsement came from. Because I think without the Trump endorsement or the, this probably going to come, I don't know if he's able to raise that much money. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yep.
In the last, 48 hours since the election on Tuesday, or however long it's been, it's been very interesting the number of people that I have heard that have spoke very highly of Jared Hudson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's going to be interesting to me.
I think there's a very good chance that race is very, very close. And what the power of marketing and ads do is that, a few weeks ago, nobody knew who Jared Hudson was. And he was going around, he was campaigning hard, he was doing all this thing. But until this very large, apparently, influx of money that put him on social media and television and everywhere over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think he's still probably surging. I think if the election were held today, he does better than he did on Tuesday, because if they'd started it a little earlier, his numbers would be even better. And I mean, people are looking at it going, yeah, I'm for that guy. I tell you one thing I did see, though. I told Sky this off the air. Now, and look, I haven't researched it yet, but I saw somebody from another state saying, hey, what is going on with all these Navy SEALs who look like they're supported by intelligence services running all over the country? Now, I'm not saying he's one of those. I'm not in any fashion. But there is a huge influx of quote-unquote SEALs running across the United States. Is that just because they're all on the same group text and said, let's all do it this year and save the Republic? Maybe. But I don't believe in coincidences when it comes to politics. So I'd love to hear more about it, and we probably will as the summer goes on.
Again, and then I got to run. Again, for a 60-year-old male in the state of Alabama, Trump endorsement means nothing to me.
I got you. Harris, I appreciate you, buddy. Great call. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Scott, I know we got to take a break. Maybe we can get to some of our phone calls quickly before we bring the guest on, so she can have the whole rest of the segment. You know what I'm saying? So let's let everybody know that. When we come back, we'll try to get through that, and then we'll have our guest. We'll be right back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Actually, welcome back in, everybody. Let's
Thank you.
get going. We got a lot of stuff to do. So let's get to our phone calls, and then we got our guest coming up. Donkey Lori, welcome to the program.
Hey there. Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good, thank you. I'm actually picking up stuff for the animal shelter today, so I'm rolling out donations to my truck right now.
Okay.
I just wanted to say this. Remember we talked about in the past, like how can a point something percentage of the population run the show, like the LGBTQRXZ plus minus.
Yeah, any
Remember?
of the groups that are included in the alphabet mafia, which is not just the liggity bigots.
Exactly. And how can one tiny little nation have such huge countries be beholden to it?
Correct.
I.e., the United States of America. Thomas Massey is against foreign influence in America, period.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Massey had to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He made
and
a
I
lot
think
of
that's
noise
why he was
about it.
targeted, and he was gone.
I think you're right, and you have to ask
it,
yourself real quick. I know we got to get through these quick. Donkey Lori, if you have something start to go out on your car, or you get a scratch on your truck, how do you decide whether to fix it now or just let it ride? The answer I have is...
I'm so distracted by that question.
The answer I have is I go in, I'm like, hey, look, the stupid tire light is on, and my mechanic's like, well, if you get that fixed, probably 2 of them are out in your tires. It's probably, we got to take the tire off. It's $150. And I'm like, $150? I'll ride around with that tire light on, because it's not worth $150 to me. I want someone to explain to me why beating Thomas Massey is worth $15 million. What American was he costing that it was worth $15 million? And the whole race was $30 million. Why did the Thomas Massey tire light have to be repaired when I'd be like, man, there's other things I need to fix on this car known as the country before the Thomas Massey tire light?
Well, all I can say is there had to be a whole lot more at stake than what we people have been allowed to hear and know.
That's
and
right.
It should put everybody's spidey senses up that they spent that amount of money to take out a man. I mean, Charlie Kirk was turning against Israel. Charlie Kirk got assassinated for it. And also, the turnout for the election involving Thomas Massey reminds me of Biden's election.
It really does.
There's no way he got that many votes. There's no way he won by a landslide. It was rigged. And for some reason, a tiny little country is pulling the strings in this big, beautiful United States that we live in. And I've been a Trump supporter since day one. I think he's got a vice grip in his Cajon area, and I think he's having to be a puppet. I think they're going to let him get away with doing some things for us, the people, to make it not so obvious. But I think the more they try to make it not obvious, the more obvious it is. You don't spend that kind of money to take a man down unless there's a whole lot at stake to for him not to be taken down.
That's my point. Good point. Thanks, Donkey Lori. I appreciate
That's all
it.
I got, and I don't know anything.
Hey,
Little Wetumpka, Alabama. Y'all have a great
You got
day.
it. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Have a great weekend, too. We're going to have to go on to our guest, Charles I, Soldier Boy. If y'all can hold on or give us a call back after our guest, that'll be great. This is one of those segments like we had last week. It's a great segment. It's really, I don't know if I should say it's sponsored, but it's really about the Fred and Rita Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal. Our next guest, Annie Holmquist, is one of the writers over at 1819 News that is part of that whole effort with the Skelton Center. And Annie, I appreciate you being on, and I hope you're having a fantastic Friday.
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I do appreciate you being, and like I said, it is the Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal, and one of the goals from 1819 News and the Center for Cultural Renewal is is really trying to talk to Alabamians about the things that are really underpin where we're going as a country, where we're going as a state, really. And it's part of that whole mindset of we can't really fix politics, we can't really fix the state unless we change the hearts and minds of people. And you're a big part of that, Annie, and you've got some really interesting pieces. But the piece I wanted to ask you about, and I don't even know if it's just your latest piece or not. Let me check out the date. It's from 5/17. It's titled "The Benevolent Sexist in the Mannerly Man," and we talk a lot on this program about what society has done to boys, what has happened to manhood and manliness. We talk against the term of toxic masculinity. And your piece, and again, people can go find it over at 1819news.com. The author is our guest, Annie Holmquist. So what exactly are you trying to get out? Fascinating piece about young men. Apparently, there is a problem in the minds of liberals that says young men as young as middle school have this sexism that starts to come out, this behavior toward females. And I was thinking when I first started reading it, somebody's pulling somebody's hair, or they're saying, hey, I don't want to pick the girl on my dodgeball team or my warball team, and that's not what it is. I was surprised by your piece.
Okay. Yes. Well, it is kind of a very surprising thing, and the whole differences between the sexes just always fascinate me. And I think God made us different. He made male and female, and He gave us different attributes that complement each other and work well together. But with feminism lately, that's really going after men a lot. And I think, we just end up having the sexes pitted together. Now, in this case, I was talking about a study that happened a few years ago, but they were capitalizing on how men, boys especially, they are being taught that, just these manners that we should do, treat women nicely, those are sexist. It's not the mean-spirited behavior toward females that we think of as sexism, but it's more the benevolent sexism that, can look harmless, but it actually undermines women.
Yeah, that's what I was so surprised about, is the idea that we've become so crazy in our country that little boys learning or acting on, hey, let's be nice to the girls, let's hold doors open for them, let's protect them, that has somehow become a negative that professors at universities are wringing their hands about. I really feel it's important that we call this kind of thinking out, and you're making us aware of it. In my mind, we have to call it preposterous, ridiculous. I don't know if we can be too harsh against the people who are saying this kinds of things, because we've let them lead us around by the nose for at least the last couple of decades, telling us what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, and I think we've actually are in the latter stages of this. We've been telling men for so long that they can't help women and go with their natural instincts and, treating them as the fairer sex. So then they're retreating from women. I remember my dad telling me a few years back that he just kindly opened a door for a lady, and she basically bit his head off for doing that. And, that's just, I think sometimes, because of that, men naturally retreat from women. And those of us who appreciate the manners that men show towards women, then I think you kind of get this vicious cycle, and we're seeing this almost in some ways. I'm seeing it online, at least, where men are kind of pushing back in some ways. And I think getting mean-spirited, but it's because women have been mean-spirited towards them. And,
right.
I don't know what you think about this. I'm kind of almost befuddled now. Like, we have gotten ourselves into this vicious cycle. How do we break free from that?
No, it's a really good
I'd be curious
point.
to know your thoughts too.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have some thoughts on the other side. We got to take a quick break. Annie Holmquist is with us. She is with the Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal, which publishes daily culture and life articles that ground readers in the truth and traditions of the West's Christian heritage. You can find it over at 1819 News. She's going to stick with us. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Scott Beason.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama recovering politician.
Everybody, we appreciate you listening to the show. Annie Holmquist is with me. In the spirit of Nehemiah 1819 News, the Skelton Center seeks to rebuild the walls of culture and good society, and that's why we have Annie on the program today. She has a great article you're going to want to find over at 1819 News. She doesn't have the easiest name to spell, but if you do Annie and come somewhat close to Holmquist, you will find the story, The Benevolent Sexist and a Mannerly Man. And Annie, I appreciate you being on, and you were asking my thoughts. You had said, how I think it's affecting young men, the feminism, the, hey, we're all equal, don't open a door for us, don't be nice to us, don't get out of a seat for us, we can do whatever. I honestly believe that women are beginning to reap what they have sown, because a lot of the young men that I talk to and young boys, they have no desire. They literally think, okay, well, fine. If we're in a fight at school, it's with a girl, it's on. The other boys are like, fine, it's on. Now to be fair, the girl's going to fight too, because she's been taught that, she's as strong as the boys, and so then you start having a lot of problem when you get to middle school and the boys start getting bigger and the girl still thinks she can fight, and then it's a real mess. But I do think there's beginning to be this, hey, I don't care if she gets hurt or not, and I think it's going to evolve into, hey, look, the Titanic's sinking, and I'm big enough to throw her overboard. She's out. I'm in the boat. I really believe we're getting to that point, because without chivalry and without these guidelines and a respect for the value of women, because women have apparently decided they want to be men, I think we're going to at least have a generation or so that says, hey, we're all equal. Strap it on. Go fight the wars just like us. You're not in the lifeboat. The whole 9 yards. I see it in the younger generations.
I'm seeing it too, and I wonder sometimes, like, I think women are going to start getting tired of this, and they won't want to have that. They won't like it when men start not being chivalrous, not having the manners, everything like that they've been used to. So, I mean, as a woman who likes to support men and encourage them, I've always been looking for ways of how can I actually encourage men to be chivalrous, to have manners and stuff like that. And I find it difficult sometimes to, how do you, because women are taught today to be independent and to do things themselves. And I think also women are helpers in a sense, and they want to, let me help you. Like if we're carrying boxes or something like that,
right?
Say, I can do it. You don't have to do it. What would you as a man say? Where how do women train that in men? Because that's something I've wrestled with too. Like, how do we encourage them to be mannerly without being? I mean, is it okay to be the damsel in distress? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I really think that. Look, even the women who, I'm going to say, quote unquote, believe right and believe in traditional values, the effect of militant feminism has still affected most women, and I do believe there was a time when women still understood that that the man who loves them, who wants to spend his life with them, he will move mountains and go through deserts and drag himself over broken glass if he believes he's helping her and he believes that she is grateful for him helping her. And but if she's not grateful for it, it begins to put his fire out. It begins to diminish him, and because he does have that innate I want to be the knight in shining armor. And so he needs a little bit of a damsel of distress. You've seen these memes. They're on social media where the girl pretends she can't open the pickle jar. Like she closes it back up and gets her husband to come open it. And there is I'm speaking from my own experience. There is a certain, man, I helped her. And she said, thank you, give you a kiss on the cheek or whatever. And you're just like, this is fantastic. And that is where the father, and we need to talk another day about all the boys that are being raised without fathers, passes down the, hey, look, you got to look after the girls. You need to help the girls. They can do what they want to, but and almost some of it's a little wink and a nod of, hey, look, I know a bunch of them are going to act like they can do whatever. We still got to protect them and watch out for them. And you get that from the dads, and when the dads are being appreciated. And the mystery I've never understood about women, and I don't even to this day, Annie, is the woman who will just yell and harp. And I know sometimes we don't get our projects done, but the harping doesn't work. But the, hey, will you help me do this? And man, you're awesome. And kiss on the cheek. That works so much better. But I think the feminism told the women to, hey, you got to be the boss sometime. That man's not going to do what you throwing him to do, and you got to tell him off. He's not doing his fair share. I think that's where feminism has sunk in, even to a lot of quote-unquote traditional women.
Yeah, I think so, too. I agree. So I think what we're probably coming up with is that, women just need to be appreciative. And if we want to have the men come back, we need to not be condemning the good manners that men are using towards us, but actually expressing gratitude.
I think the other thing, Annie, is we in the South, and I don't know if you're from the South, but we in the South don't realize how far down this road we've already gone in other parts of the country. Because here we're like, oh no, it's still the way it is, but it will go away at the snap of a finger if we don't hold on to it in the South. And then if the rest of the country wants to let it go, fine. But hopefully the southern states will not get pulled up on by New York and its values.
Absolutely agree.
Annie, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being on. Great talk. And I look forward to your other articles that, and again, make sure I get this right. You can find what you do over at 1819 News.
Yes. At the Fred and Rita Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Annie. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Again, that's Annie Holmquist. Very good article. She's part of that whole effort by the Fred and Rita Skelton Center for Cultural Renewal that you can find at 1819 News. We'll be right back.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politicians.
With Annie, it's one of the things she wrote. Then we'll move on. Was this type of thinking, which is the whole that men are narcissists and they need to quit being nice to women, and we got to quit teaching young boys to treat girls and women better. I'm just like, and on top of that, you got to think who would not want to. I've told y'all before that my family went to New York when I was young. I was probably 12. And that is the first time I held a door open for a woman who got mad at me for holding the door open for her. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm a 12-year-old kid.
Welcome to the big city.
Yeah, and that's the first time I'd been up to Yankee Land, too. It's also the first trip where I saw a lady with a low-cut dress, and there was hair on her chest.
Oh,
now
yeah,
I
New
know
York
what
City.
that. Now I know what that was. It wasn't even New York. It was Hershey, Pennsylvania that time. But now I know what it was. Back then, when I'm 12, what is that, 1982? I had no idea what was going on.
I remember my first trip to New York too.
Oh
yeah, I was about that same age.
It's a crazy place.
Real eye opener, isn't it?
But she said this type of thinking clearly causes problems for women, but what does it do to men? When we teach little boys to be kind, gentle, mannerly, and gracious to others, then turn around and tell them that such manners are sexism or benevolent sexism, what kind of message are we giving them? And I would point out that the message we're giving them is be confused, don't know what to do, and be paralyzed, which is what the people who want to destroy Christendom, Western civilization, America, and especially the South, they need men to not know who they are and to not know where to go and what direction to lead, so it paralyzes them. So I would say that is part of the formula, is to not let them understand where they are and to retreat into the unknown because they're confused. It's all on purpose, no doubt about it. Let's get out to your phone calls. I'm hoping these are on topic. Let's go to Clark. Clark, welcome to the program. Thank you for listening.
On topic. Well, yeah, I'm on topic, Scott. But
what you got?
Like an hour or two late, but it's okay.
What's the topic?
So let's go back to the weaponization compensation that you talked about.
Oh, that's good. You were with the flow of the show, so that's okay. All right, that was in the stream today.
This is all show stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a problem with the weaponization compensation.
Okay.
Now, this being taxpayer money, I got a big problem there, Scott.
Okay. Well, didn't taxpayer money? Wait. Didn't taxpayer money cause the taxpayers to have to spend their money?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we're paying for both sides, and then we got to pay the penalty.
Right.
So here's my suggestion. Everybody that works at the IRS, the DOJ, the FBI, and you know what, Scott? There seems to be evidence right now. Hadn't panned out yet, but it seems to be evidence that the Southern Poverty Law Center paid for the operatives to induce J6.
No.
So I'm going to say throw the SPLC in there. You prove they were involved in J6. I think asset forfeiture is in order. Everybody that's employed by the IRS, the DOJ, the FBI, the SPLC, all assets the SPLC has, needs to be seized, and that goes towards the $1.77 billion. Jack Smith, Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland. You know what? Let's get some judges involved here that made some bogus decisions too. Seize all their assets. Let's disincentivize the behavior, Scott. How about that?
I think you're on to something. Let me ask you about the part that got me going. That the U.S. senators were giving themselves handsome payouts for the horribleness of having some of their messages and conversations listened in on or looked at, and which was nothing compared to what we did to some of the January 6ers. We did that to thousands and thousands of people.
Are we supposed to have rulers or representatives?
Well, we started out supposed to have representatives, but somewhere along the way, we ended up with rulers.
I think, and rulers isn't too far from royalty, and that's where they consider themselves to be. Now, you did talk about they for a little while this morning, Scott.
Yes, sir.
There's definitely a they, and they know who they are, and they know what their objectives are, and they know what they're willing to do to achieve those objectives.
They do.
Now, when you get to us don't know who us is. Us don't know us outnumbers they 5-1.
At least.
They have divided us. They have lied to and confused us, and they have intimidated us into silence. And us better get our stuff together, and we better do it in the next 2 years.
It's a really good point. Are we going to be able to get our stuff together before the midterm elections?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's looking good here. Did you see where the left is employing the NAACP to try to get athletes to boycott Southern states?
Oh, I did. It's on the list, no doubt about it.
You know what that's going to do?
It's going to cause us.
Demonstrate how little influence the NAACP has now.
Well, I would feel sorry for any one of those athletes who says, "Oh, I'm not going to go play at the University of Georgia or the University of Tennessee or the University of Alabama because their legislature wants to draw districts based on politics, which is what New England always does." And then what's that young man going to do? Forfeit all that money? Not make that money? I'm pretty sure the NAACP is not going to make that money up for them. So as is usually the case, I'm going to say something very controversial. I understand it. The race hustler crowd, that's not people of color, okay? That's the people at the top that profit off all this. The race hustler crowd wants someone else to sacrifice themselves, their lives, and their future while they will continue to live the posh, well taken care of life while the little person is broken. That's what these entities do, and that's what they're asking these young men and young women to do for them.
And what has changed since before the 13th Amendment was passed? Not much.
Just the order of the hierarchy. There's still a hierarchy.
Yes.
The order's just different.
So basically, let's see. We want you to forego this NIL money, and your mom stays in the Section 8 housing you were raised in rather than living in a nice house.
That's correct.
Yeah. Let's see how that plays out.
That's a good point. Thank you, Clark.
Scott, you probably got people with better stuff to talk about, and I'm probably about as far as I can go with that.
Well, you got it, Clark. Well, we were able to segue in to keep – it's almost like we've done this before, Sky.
Yeah.
And able to bring – now, Soldier Boy is on the tangential topic. Welcome to the program. Happy Friday to you.
Transition. There's Soldier Boy.
Welcome in, Soldier Boy. Happy Friday. Okay.
Well, all right. I'll take. Well, we have a minute regarding the NAACP.
Yeah.
Requesting black athletes boycott the SEC. There's a recent study data sheet came out. Most violent college towns in the United States. Did you happen to catch that one?
I did not.
You didn't. Well, 7 of the top 12. You guessed it. HBCU. Campus.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
town.
I can't believe anybody published that story.
Yeah, it came out recently.
Because you know the goal is to not publish things like that. You're not supposed to.
And I'm not trying to make anything out of it except to come back in regards to the NAACP requesting this. So let's sacrifice you further, young man.
Yeah, let's send you to a dangerous place. Get your mom to want you to go to a dangerous place instead of that horrible school that has nothing to do. Have they already gone out and tried to get the comments from athletes and comments from coaches yet? No, you know who let some of that happen? I don't mean to bash everybody, but I've always said, look, college coaches should not answer political questions from journalists.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It's a trap every time.
And poor
You
old
can't
Nick
win.
Saban fell into that trap a couple of times, and it ended up not good for him, and it wasn't good for anybody else. So when these NAACP folks come to you or come to your school, just say, hey, I don't have anything to do with what the legislature does. I'm here to coach football. I love my boys. We're going to be a good team this year, and I did talk to you about some coordinators and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want anything to come between my athletes,
me,
and
my
myself.
team,
so get yourself on out of here.
Yeah. If you want to come back in my office, you better have a different set of questions. We got to take another break. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politicians.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back into the program, everybody. We are back. Let's get out to some of your phone calls. I think is that Rocateur?
Rock on Tour,
Rock
which
on
is
Tour.
storyteller in French, as I
in French.
understand.
Very good.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
enchanté.
program, Rock on Tour. Rock on Tour.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good day. How are you, buddy?
Good day.
Doing well. To live up to my namesake, I got a story for you. I'll
Okay.
try to keep it brief. It may take 3 minutes, but it's worth telling, and it's relevant.
Wow, that's
The NAACP.
new.
Yeah, the
Not for you, just for the show.
NCAA
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. NAACP is not doing anything new with this move. They did this move 45 years ago at a small school in South Alabama.
Do tell.
As the story goes, two small schools which are no longer in existence, one a public school, one a black private school, both in the same region, both playing football. The public school, well, I'll go ahead and tell you, it's Connecticut County High School, that is no longer in existence. Had hired a new coach, was having the best football season in the history of the entire school football program, and probably to this day still was the best football year they ever had. There was a black school, Southern Normal School, which was also having a good season. We got down to about 3 weeks left in the end of the season, and Southern Normal is playing a school, another school, to get to the top of the playoff rankings. The brother-in-law of the head of the county NAACP chapter was the head referee and called 9 consecutive penalties in a row to get Southern Normal to the 1 yard line and allow them to have 4 chances to score and score a winning touchdown. The next week, Connecticut County, which was poised to win the region, had members of the local NAACP chapter come to the school. They contacted the parents of the black players on the football team and told them to pull their kids from school on Friday and not let them play in the upcoming game because they had received word that there was going to be a KKK rally held on the campus of that high school. So with NAACP chapter members in the office, parents were coming to the school and checking their kids out under threat of violence. That was a complete and total hoax. Kids were being drug out of the school by their parents, cursing and screaming at their parents because they knew if they left school, they would not be allowed to play in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Enough players were pulled out of the game so that Connecticut County ended up having to start 7th graders who had never played football before and say, here, you're the defensive back, you're a safety. That just basically means don't let anybody catch a ball back here.
Right.
And inevitably they lost, which then put Southern Normal, the black private school, into the state playoffs over Connecticut County High School. That's 45 years ago.
Holy mackerel.
And you can look all the records up. The coach was Mike Williams. Connecticut County went 7-3. The score of the Southern Normal Leaffian game was 18-12, won by 1 touchdown on that controversial 9 penalty in a row deal. Connecticut County lost XL 35-23. It's a story I've told less than 3 times in 45 years because it's so unbelievable. People wouldn't believe it. But go back up and look up the 1A school records for 1981, and you'll see everything's correct.
Wow.
I believe you. I absolutely believe you. And no one has the I say no one. Most of the time we don't have the gumption to point out that absolutely people will do that. And the reason they did that is because human beings are human beings, and they had an axe to grind or whatever, just wanted an advantage, and they were willing to destroy the chances of other young people to make a statement. I'm not surprised by that at all.
And best by recollection of that story, at least one of the parents or one of the players moved out from their parents because they were so upset. But the NAACP cares about the lives of young black men.
Yeah, a lot. What year was that?
81.
1981, 45 years ago.
That is 1981 really 45 years ago? Holy moly.
I'm afraid so. Yes.
I'm afraid y'all don't need to talk about that anymore. My neck just started hurting. I'm not surprised. I mean, even when I was in high school, a little bit after that, this or that would happen, and one of the things, and now you tell me that story, it makes more sense because we had a couple of experiences where the strategy was, well, then all of y'all, all the football players, the basketball players, whatever it is, if you happen to be of color, you just need to not play. So there was a reason that must have been working in some places, so it trickled down to other places across the state of, hey, well, then y'all just don't play, and your team will lose, and then everybody will be appropriately punished. I just find it fascinating, kind of like you're pointing out, that some of the people who were punished were black young men for having not played, but they don't care about them. So it looks like more people are more. Some special people are more special than others.
Yeah, well, and to that same thing, we had the elections in the early 80s. It might have been the 1980, and I still remember a news report out of Mobile saying that, the federal government sending in watchers because there's intimidation and stuff going on at the polls. And they had sent like 70 poll watchers, and then they made the footnote that 30 of those had been diverted to Connecticut County, a county with less than 20,000 population.
Yeah. No, I've lived some of it myself, and probably won't tell my stories on the air, but I've seen some of the stuff you're talking about in the games that are played, and then sometimes people are like, well, I just don't understand, Scott. Why you're so such a hard line on some of these things? Because I've lived some of these games, and I'm just not for it. It destroys everybody except the people who aren't really in it, who are just utilizing and using people for a political advantage. And, man, that's a great story, buddy. I appreciate it.
Hey, y'all have a good one.
Hey, you have a good one. Isn't that amazing, Sky? But it just proves that even going back decades, that a lot of regular people who are hoping things will get better, maybe they're in a situation where they hope things will get better. Sometimes they're in a situation where people didn't even know things were supposed to be so bad. And someone comes in with a political agenda, and they just leave a massive 47-car pileup, and then they go back home.
Yeah, and they don't have any consequences. Booker T. Washington warned about this over a century ago.
Did he?
About people that make their living on racial issues don't really want to solve those issues.
No,
it's bad for business.
They don't.
We're seeing it live out now.
Mm-hmm.
These days, fortunately, some of this is really coming to light now.
Yeah, I mean, now that we have shows like this, we have social media, we have people of every different group, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, going, wait a minute, I like my neighbors, I like my friends. What are y'all doing? What are y'all talking about? I'll give you an example. You know how many black influencers have just chewed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a new one for saying they need to pull up on Alabama and pull up on the South and New York. I have seen black influence after black influencer saying, you are out of your mind. Leave us alone. And that is wonderful stuff. That's exactly where I am. Those are my brothers, my sisters, my friends. Those are the folks that I want to hang around with. Those are the folks that are Americans who care about their families and their communities, and we all need to be telling the AOCs of the world, go fly a kite. Go stay in New York.
That's a nice way to put it.
We got a couple of phone calls. We're absolutely going to them next. We'll be back. Hey, here's the thing on that taking a while. That was a dang good story. And if they don't want to wait for that story, too bad. Hey, look, if he spouts off, just cut him off. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't like to be angry. That's exactly right. No. We've not hardly had any time that we haven't had callers. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look, Red Top's
Scott
done
Beason,
better.
president
if Red Top
of
can do
ARP,
better, Soldier Boy can do better.
Alabama recovering politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Charles I is classic. I need to appreciate him more and give him rewards for not being a ding-dong. Okay, gotcha. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back in, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. I will, oh my goodness. Okay, well, that's going to be interesting. Welcome to the program, everybody. Let's get back out to your phone calls. Let's go to Soldier Boy. Thank you, Soldier Boy. Thanks for listening. Yes, sir. What's up? Yeah, that was a little bit rough. You're the second person I've taken grief for over that today. It was rough. It was rough. This is what it looks like. Yes, sir. Hey, are you coming up to Birmingham to watch it? Well, good. Awesome. I'm glad to hear you're coming up. Yeah, I didn't know that one. That was a little edgy. Gotcha. Very, very, very interesting. Wow. I'm going with the day after Memorial Day. Wow. All right, bud. Thank you. Y'all too. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Soldier Boy. Let's go out to Red Top. Let's go to Red Top. Red Top, welcome to the program.